Brendan Pereira is going to knock out Francis Ngannou. I am beyond confident in this pick or at the very least, Ngannou should be the underdog. And don't bet on Francis Ngannou. Guy has a good chin, hasn't been knocked out. Pereira by knockout. Michel Pereira, I think, is good enough in the ground that he's going to be able to survive the grappling exchanges. Michel Pereira going for a really similar sequence, or if they're on the ground scrambling, I can see Michel Pereira locking up a submission. There's cardio saying that he doesn't have a good gas tank, but he has gone 3 rounds. We need to talk. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Christian, aka I Hate You Dior. And let's talk about yesterday. Talk about Francis Ngannou, huh? What a performance. That Anthony Hernandez too. Ooh, what a guy. Speechless right now. So let's talk about my day before we get into that. After I saw the fight, I played the game a bit. Went to sleep, woke up, enjoyed my day before I thought I'd get on camera and talk about last night's fights. So let's start off. Let's talk about the PFL card last night. The PFL card was pretty dog shit as a whole. The Paul Hughes AJ McGee fight was pretty fun to watch. Picked wrong on that. I thought AJ McGee was gonna get it done, but Paul Hughes is a fucking dog. Called out Usman Nurmagomedov for the belt after his fight and asked Conor McGregor to corner him, in which he replied yes. That'd be interesting to see, Ireland versus Russia one more time in 2024, so something to keep an eye out for. Johnny Eblen and Fabian Edwards went the same way as Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards, so pretty boring fight. Cyborg and Larissa Pacheco was a fucking banger. It made everything else leading up to that point in the card a lot worth it. Fun fight from both ladies. Cyborg won a pretty clear decision, still doing it at however old she is, 40 years old. And then we get to the main event. Okay, so let's talk about it. Renan Ferreira and Francis Ngannou. So Renan Ferreira lost. Francis Ngannou won. I guess that video I made aged pretty badly, but it's okay. There's always next week, next event. Renan Ferreira tried keeping his distance. Francis Ngannou blasts a single leg, gets him on the ground. Renan Ferreira turtles up, and as you saw in the beginning, got put out from some very brutal ground and pound. A lot of strikes to the back of the head. I wonder how Renan Ferreira is doing after the fight. The ref should have called it a lot sooner, but my God, Francis Ngannou is a scary man. I think it's safe to say that he is the best heavyweight in the world right now, with Tom Aspinall being a very, very close second. If you just look at it, Ngannou's record, you have Stipe Miocic, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Overeem, Arlovski, Curtis Blades, and now Renan Ferreira, UFC heavyweight champion, now the PFL inaugural heavyweight champion. So the fight went how I thought it would go. Ngannou didn't want to, stand and trade with him. Smart guy. Took him down to the ground with the single. Kept him down there. Like I said, Ngannou is a fucking strong, big African man, so he was able to hold down Renan Ferreira, the 6'8" Brazilian giant. At one point on the ground, Renan Ferreira tried to lock up a triangle and just didn't for whatever reason. It was, all there, just didn't go through with finishing it and ended up just getting flattened out and ground and pounded. But hey, this fight was pretty 50-50, I will say. I'm just coping. Renan Ferreira lost pretty bad. Francis Ngannou beat the shit out Renan Ferreira. There's nothing I can say or do to sugarcoat it. Went out and put on a performance, and I think he's going to be the PFL heavyweight champion for a very long time. Unless Renan Ferreira can make some adjustments, because he is genuinely good. Everything I said in my video about him and his skill set, I still believe stands. Isn't the best grappler in the world, though. Didn't really improve after his Anton Delija fight. So who knows? Maybe this will be the moment where he's like, okay, I need to step up my ground game. But other than that, got knocked out pretty cold. Another thing that I said, he's never been through before. Maybe I'm cursed. Maybe I jinxed him. Who knows? But yeah, that was the PFL and Francis Ngannou fight. I don't see anybody beating Francis Ngannou over in the PFL. I would really love to see Francis Ngannou versus John Jones. That's never going to happen, so I'll settle for Francis Ngannou versus Tom Aspinall. But that's probably also never going to happen as well. But if it does, my heart will be very content. So that was PFL, Ngannou versus Pereira. Now let's talk about the UFC fight, because that one was a fucking stinker. Top to bottom, there were some pretty boring fights. Nothing too crazy from an Apex card. I went 3 for 6 on picks last night. So we're just going to take it from the top of all the fighters I spoke about in my previous video with Robelis Despain and Austin Lane. Robelis Despain fucking sucks. You'd think after his last fight, getting wrestled fucked by Waldo Cortez Acosta, he'd go and try to improve his ground game. But no, it was the same thing as the Waldo Cortez Acosta fight. Austin Lane took him to the ground, was able to hold him there for the entire fight, and edged out a decision. Both of these men are pretty shit. I think they're going to keep, either of them around for the sake of an Apex card. Austin Lane on the upside still is pretty chinny, so if a heavyweight prospect ever comes around in the future and they know how to wrestle, hopefully, Austin Lane's getting put on a highlight, so I see them keeping him for that reason and that reason alone. Robelis Despain, though, sucks to be him. Came into the UFC a very highly touted prospect. Really nice record, really good, clean knockouts on his performance highlights. Just hasn't been getting it done in his UFC career. Knocked out Josh Parisian, who's no longer in the UFC. Went on to fight Waldo Cortez Acosta and lost a decision by wrestling. And then went to fight even lower levels of competition with Austin Lane and still got wrestle fucked. So at this point, I don't see there being anything good for Robelis Despain. Maybe they'll give him a shitty can and he'll just get a highlight reel knockout. But even then, if the can knows how to wrestle, it's not looking good for Robelis Despain. Maybe if they cut him, he can go do karate combat, or they'll find him somebody who really cannot wrestle in the heavyweight division, and it'll be a fun fight. But yeah, Robelis Despain is shit. Austin Lane is shit. The heavyweight division sucks. It is the worst division in the UFC. People like to say flyweight sucks. Flyweight is a million times more entertaining at the lowest level in the UFC than the heavyweight division will ever be in some of the higher levels as well. So yeah, heavyweight division sucks. On to the next fight. Asu Almabayev versus Mateus Nicolau. Not a fun fight at all, speaking of flyweights. But Asu Almabayev got it done the way I imagined. Was able to drag around Mateus Nicolau. Got him with a good body shot early on. Almost got a submission in the second round. Not too much going on in the fight either way between both men. So not too much to comment on. But Asu Almabayev gets it done. Moves up in the rankings. Maybe a top contender, top 5 is next for him. If he can get that, then title shot. It's flyweight, baby. Give him a title shot if he gets one more win. As for Mateus Nicolau, I really don't know what they want to do with him next. He could fight Manel Kape, because that was a fight that they had booked recently until Manel Kape pulled out and got replaced by Alex Perez. They're both coming off of losses, so that would be a pretty cool fight to make. Not really interested in either of these fighters, so either way, okay, boring fight. Went the way how I imagined, and Asu Almabayev gets it done. Now, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we had Charles Johnson versus Suma Duerji. I picked Charles Johnson to win by submission or knockout. He almost got him out of there in the second round at the end. The ref didn't want to jump in. Suma Duerji was protecting himself pretty well from some of those ground and pound strikes, but nonetheless, he gets it done by decision. Suma Duerji did look pretty good. It was a competitive fight. This was honestly the most fun back and forth fight on the card so far, and the entire night as a whole. Suma Duerji looked a lot better than I thought he would. I really thought he was just going to go out there and shit the bed against Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson could have looked a little bit better than I thought he was going to, but next up for Charles Johnson is a ranked opponent, so I'd like to see him fight the loser of Cody Durden, Josh Van, maybe even I don't know who's in the flyweight top 15, but somebody in that number 15, number 14, number 13 spot would do a good fight for him in his next fight. It's been fun seeing him fight all these times. He has been pretty entertaining in the year so far, so I wouldn't mind seeing one more fight from him before the year closes off. So I'm pretty big on Charles Johnson. I like him a lot as a fighter. I think he's going to be pretty good in flyweight, still pretty big, pretty strong. I'm just never picking flyweights to, finish a fight ever again. It's strictly decisions from here on out. But yeah, fun fight. Charles Johnson versus Suma Duerji. On to the next one. Tyler Phillips versus Rob Font. I know a lot of people are mad about this one. because Kyler Phillips went out there and shit the fucking bed. If I would have never seen Kyler Phillips fight before last night, if you would have told me that he beat Pedro Munoz dominantly, I would have looked you in the eyes and called you a goddamn liar, because what the fuck was he doing last night? First round, shoots on Rob Font, is able to hold him down. At the end, Rob Font is having a little bit more success, but then come round 2, gasses out completely, is getting pieced up by Rob Font. Didn't want to really commit to anything, didn't want to stay too close to him in the range, and just Rob Font was having his way with him in the striking. Come third round, he looked fucking dead. You wouldn't have ever guessed that he was out here being a potential top bantamweight prospect. Rob Font looked good. I don't really know what's next for him. He's fought the entire top 5. It feels like at this point, maybe he could rematch someone that he's fought already, like Corey Sandhagen. Maybe he can fight like a Song Yadong if he loses to Umar Nurmagomedov, which is a video I want to make in the future. Maybe he could fight like a Henry Cejudo or like a... Who can he fucking fight? I don't know. Rob Font's basically lost to everybody in the top 5, like Chito Vera, Vicente Figueiredo, Corey Sandhagen. That's all I could think of. I don't really care too much for Rob Font. Really good performance from him. I will be tuning into his next fight. Either way, Rob Font, whether he wins or loses, his fights are pretty entertaining. That's the least you can say. So let's try and see what they do next with him. As for Kyler Phillips, that was ridiculous. You'd think he had zero experience in the octagon with the way he fought last night. They need to give him a big step down in competition after how he did last night, and maybe from there he could work his way back up. But yeah, Kyler Phillips, not a very good performance from him at all. A lot of people agreed with me. Apparently everybody and their mom picked Kyler Phillips to win and put money on it. So yeah, Kyler Phillips, you're cooked, buddy. See you in the apex for the rest of your life. And just when I thought that Kyler Phillips shitting the bed was like bad enough as is, I thought in my head, okay, well maybe Michel Pereira can get it done against Anthony Hernandez. You guys saw the start of the video. You know how that fight went. Anthony Hernandez beat the shit out of Michel Pereira. What a performance from the man last night. I found out that he is a father of 4. And if I would have known that prior to making my video, that he is a father of 4 children, Mexican father of 4, dad bod, 4 kids, Mexican, he probably would have been a construction worker if he didn't fucking do UFC. And if there's one thing I've learned in my life, is that nothing stronger than a Mexican father who loves his kids. Anthony Hernandez proved that last night. Now in the first round, Michel Pereira did get him with the body shot, which is how I thought he was going to get him out of there. And in my head, I'm like, oh shit, Michel Pereira's looking good. He can get this done. First round, getting him with some really good exchanges, clipping him with some really good shots, catching Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez was throwing some fucking crazy shit, throwing spinning leg kicks. Nothing really that was too crazy for the first round. Michel Pereira was stuffing his takedowns. I think he stuffed like 5 out of 6, and at the end of the round, got the takedown. But you could see towards the end of the first, he did start to gas, and that's when everything fell apart. Second round, he could not get back up once Anthony Hernandez got him down. Third round, same thing. Fourth round, same thing. Come the 5th round, over time, he was just getting him with some vicious ground and pound. I believe in round 3, it was like 60-2 on strikes. And over the whole course of the fight, he had like 15 minutes of control time, which is literally everything outside of the first round. Yeah, absolute domination from Anthony Hernandez. Really showed that he's at that championship level going all 5 rounds. But the holes are still there. Michel Pereira almost got him out of there with the body shot. In the post-fight interview, he said the body shot got him and he felt it. I just see someone like a Dricus du Plessis, a Israel Adesanya. I see somebody tagging him in the body and getting him out of there the same way that Kevin Holland did. I feel like Michel Pereira definitely watched the Kevin Holland fight because he did try to go for the same sequence. It just didn't work out for Michel Pereira in his favor. So yeah, Anthony Hernandez dominated Michel Pereira. Hopefully he can get a title elimination bout, maybe a top 5. I feel like regardless of his ranking, I think he's like number 12 right now. He is a middleweight that is on a streak right now. He's probably 1 or 2 fights away from the title. I'd like for him to fight maybe a Marvin Vettori, who's like around number 5, or even a Israel Adesanya at number 2. He could fight maybe one of these young guys too, since they had Allen versus Imavov. They could maybe do Kyle Barao versus Anthony Hernandez. So yeah, sky's the limit for Anthony Hernandez. I think he's really good. Still has some holes that I just can't get over. But one thing I learned last night is that you don't play with a Mexican man and his family. As for Michel Pereira, yeah, you got to work on that gas tank, buddy. Everything I said about Michel Pereira did turn out to be true. Very physical, a lot bigger and stronger than Anthony Hernandez, but God, that cardio. And it wasn't even like that he threw crazy shit in the first round, because he was very trying. You could see that he was trying very hard to keep a very good pace, keep the fight slow, so that he could just fight out over the course of 5 rounds. But that didn't matter. Once Anthony Hernandez was putting his weight on him in those grappling exchanges, Michel Pereira just had nothing for him. You could see that Michel Pereira was struggling with trying to move. And even as early as the second round, you could see that he was getting gassed from that. I still like Michel Pereira. I think he has a really fun fighting style. And I think if it's a Michel Pereira fight, he's going to win, especially at middleweight. But that fight showed a lot of holes in his game. So if they match him up with a grappler, it could be a very, very long night for Michel Pereira. But who knows? Maybe he'll learn from this and improve his gas tank, his grappling. But I said that about so many other guys, and look what's happening. So yeah, Michel Pereira lost by decision. Anthony Hernandez in the 5th round got him out of there with some elbows on the ground and pound. Michel Pereira looked bad, man. Once he got cut up, he looked fucking terrible. Another fight I forgot to talk about was the Darren Elkins-Daniel Pineda fight. That fight was another stinker. Daniel Pineda retired. It was a pretty close fight from both men, how I thought it would be. Darren Elkins did win, not by sub. Like I said, I just think Darren Elkins has more experience. He has a lot more heart than Daniel Pineda, but I will say from Daniel Pineda, he did make the fight very competitive and very close at times. Retired, so, you know, hey, I'm not going to see him around the Apex anymore, but it is what it is. Overall, a pretty boring card. Had a couple of fun fights. I think the only people to get 50 Gs were Anthony Hernandez and Darren Elkins, and the Darren Elkins fight wasn't even good. So that goes to show the level of Apex card we got last night. Up next is Max Holloway versus Topuria, so I will be giving my predictions about that later on in the week. After that, we have UFC Vegas 100, Neil Magny versus Carlos Prates. So I'm very excited for that main event. I know everybody else is too. Eventually, I'll be giving my predictions on that fight also. But as of right now, it's not looking good for main event picks. I picked Tyra and Royval last week. Last night wasn't the same success. Maybe next week will be a little bit better. I still think Topuria is going to beat Max Holloway, but I'm going to talk about that more in another video, not this one. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about last night's fights. If you agree with me, leave a comment. If you disagree with me, leave a comment. If you like the video, leave a like. And if you like videos like these, subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications so you get notified every time I upload a new video. I am aiming for daily uploads, if not every 2 days, so make sure you leave that notification button on. And yeah, I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Peace.